Hi, I'm Paris, and I was an early adopter of LED light bulbs for use in the home. I think it was 14 years ago I got my first bulb. My wife bought it for me as a birthday present. The $60 she paid. This big honking bulb that you couldn't even fit into many locations because it was just so large. Had a few little blue LED lights that didn't even put out much light at all. Well, LED lights have come a long way since then, and it was about 2.5 years ago that I decided to replace a lot of the lights and the fixtures in our home with LED bulbs. It's been long enough now that I can give you a follow-up report on what my experience with LED bulbs has been.
Epic review, guys.
So I have liked LED bulbs for a number of reasons. They use less electricity. They're supposed to last 20 to 25 years before you need to replace them. I personally like the white quality of light that comes with this, especially for reading or detail work, much more than like fluorescent bulbs. Love all those things. But what I don't love is that I think these are about the only two that I have that are still working. Over the course of 2.5 years, my collection of LED bulbs have just about all stopped working. And there are a variety of brands. That's not just one brand or a bad batch or something. Companies sent me bulbs to try out in videos. I bought some at Home Depot. As much as I like them, all the features about them, I've had really bad luck. So I've had a bunch of bulbs I've had to replace in the last 2 years that I thought I would have 20 years before I had to worry about. I have since decided, as a backup, to go with what it basically is supposed to be a temporary solution between going from incandescent bulbs for the American public to fluorescent or LED or other types of more efficient lighting. What they did is there's a mandate that's going into effect over time about how efficient lighting has to be sold, and people were lamenting that you wouldn't be able to buy incandescent bulbs anymore. They were very inefficient. The government said you can't use those anymore, so they were taken off the shelves. But you give business a problem and say, you've got to fix this if you want to sell your stuff. Amazingly, they are usually able to fix it. So they came out with bulbs, 60, 75, 100 watt bulbs. These bulbs are 28% more efficient than the standard incandescent bulb. So they're allowed to be sold for a few more years until even more strict efficiency standards go into effect. So I have these as backup. With incandescent bulbs, you know you're going to have to change them every 6 months or so, but at least they're relatively inexpensive as opposed to some of the LED bulbs where you feel like you're actually buying a piece of electronics. So why did my LED bulbs fail? I didn't send them in for an analysis, but I think I know. Just take a look at this LED bulb and how is this different from most light bulbs you see? All of these aluminum cooling fins. Why? Because even though it doesn't produce as much heat as an incandescent bulb, the heat that gets produced is right on the circuit board where the LEDs are located. So there's a lot of heat with electronics. That's usually not a good thing. And people put bulbs into enclosed fixtures. I have done that here. Our bathroom has these hanging glass globes and I put the LED bulbs in them and they look great until they stop working. Usually what's happened with the bulbs is they don't just go out, but they'll start to flicker on and off and on, which is good when you're doing ghost hunting videos I found with my daughter Roxana. Makes it nice and spooky. But they're in the process of failing. The electronics, something in there is failing, and my personal belief is that it's heat, is that those bulbs weren't designed to be in those kinds of fixtures, even though they didn't say that exactly, or they didn't have, they weren't funky enough looking like this, where they just said, okay, we don't care, we got to get rid of that heat somehow, we're going to put aluminum heat sink all the way around the bulb. They try to make them look like a regular old bulb, and so in their desire to make them acceptable looking externally, I think they sacrificed what they really needed to do to make them as reliable as they're supposed to be. So I have my collection of moderately efficient incandescent bulbs that I'll hold on to for when another bulb goes out and I don't feel like going to Home Depot and spending $14 to get one 75 watt bulb. But I did go to Home Depot and get one 75 watt bulb. I really want to have that bright white light here in this room, and I have a 60 watt, I'm thinking it's an LED, I'll show you here in a minute, that I want to boost up to put more light into the room. So I decided this is now going to be my trial LED. This is a Sylvania Ultra LED 75 watt equivalent, uses 9.5 watts to actually produce that power, 22 years or more expected life, And it says it's good for indoor outdoor, so it should be a fairly hardy bulb, and it's fairly heavy, so I'm hoping they packed in what they needed to pull the heat away from the electronics. Let me show you what I have in here now, and then I'm going to install this. We'll take a look at it, and in a couple years I'll be back to let you know if they've improved the newer generation of LED bulbs. Here I have a 60-watt compact fluorescent bulb, and this is actually an LED bulb that's kind of interesting because it's got ventilation holes in the top. Quite a bit of difference, right? There's that yellow fluorescent light, and this is the natural daylight that I like to have some of in each room. Here's the compact fluorescent bulb that I pulled out. Here is the 60-watt LED, and now the 60 watts, they do seem to manage to make them fairly small and lightweight. This is much lighter weight than this, which is the one I just took out of this package, and I'm going to put into the fixture, the 75-watt LED. But with this one, they sort of said, we'll sacrifice appearance because we want it to actually be able to dissipate the heat. So you can see right down into the bulb, and the heat can come out the vent and can come out the vents here, and the heat is all being produced right around here. And this is just plastic, it's not glass. So this may be the way to go. Don't worry about the appearance so much, just get a bulb that will actually last because it can deal with the heat. Now my new one that I'm putting in is heavy, so I know they've got hunks of metal down here for carrying the heat away from the electronics, but again, nowhere for it to get out of the bulb, and inside of my fixture here in the ceiling, nowhere for the heat to get away from the bulb. What I have in here now, this is the new style of incandescent, the more efficient one. It's supposed to give 75 watts of light, but only using about 53 watts. These sockets are for 60 watts maximum, so it's just inside of that envelope. This is my new LED, the $14 one. That's supposed to give you 75 watts of power for 9.5 watts of energy use. Let's see what they look like turning it on. That is definitely a lot more light. This is two 75-watt bulbs instead of two 60-watt bulbs, basically. That's good. I like the distribution of light. The room is much brighter now, and the colors look a lot sharper to me, including on my wig head over there. So, how do I look? I think the colors of everything look really good with this combination of lights. I do this in every room. Maybe it's weird, but we can never decide whether to go with the soft white or the natural daylight. They both have their advantages, so in just about every room I have at least one of each kind of bulb, so you have that mixed lighting in the room. So I'll put up with the short-lived, expensive LED bulbs in situations like this where I really want to have the right lighting. Now, I have hope for this. I was just noticing this is a Cree bulb, and I know they sent me some other bulbs that didn't fare so well, and some LED bulbs that had burned out, but I like the fact that they're not caring about aesthetics so much. They're making a bulb that's focused on getting that heat away from the electronics, and maybe this will be the way to go. So I'll plug this into another room, and when I do my follow-up in the future on LED bulbs, I'll mention this one, come back and check on it, as well as the one that you'll see here illuminating all our future videos. You can keep checking back for those, or you can click that subscribe button down below. You'll get notified when our videos go up. See you on the next review.
What does the fox buy? Nobody knows, but before he goes shopping, he watches our videos.